is fearless, Caddis is the raddest, has skills of the baddest, magic, swinging busting for status, practically unmatched, runs all of the gamut, in fact, he's a reverend games and chatting, bent wizardly hatting, questing, stacking, napping, this cat diversified, witty banter, seeking kitty answers, roll 20 to scamper, tune in, and enjoy the ride, Brady, the RPG cat, Brady, the RPG cat.
Brainy the cat. Brainy the RPG cat. It's a kitty cat.
Hello, cats and kittens, felines and felidae, humans and variant humans, and every race, class, and subclass. Welcome once again to another episode of Brainy the RPG Cat. Tonight we're doing tabletop lore, and we just got into the characters page of the Book of Ebon Tides by Kobold Press. The very last section that we read was about the Shadowborn Bearfolk, the bearfolk that live exclusively in this realm, which seems to largely be based on the myths of Oberon and Titanium and the Fae Kingdom. Titania, not Titanium. She's a queen, she's not a metal. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started, but first I do once again want to talk to you about streamloots. Streamloots is our new monetization method on this channel. If you subscribe to Streamloots, you will have the ability to post your emotes in chat, and you'll be able to regularly send tips by way of a special set of Brady the RPG Cat trading cards, which are available for $1.99. Each pack includes 3 packs, and there's currently 25 cards that all do things specifically for VTubers. So, play sounds in chat, ask me to do things, play small games like Well Actually and Would You Rather. Absolutely, yeah, wonderfully, fantastically. Check out our Streamloots page. It's streamloots.com/Brainy the RPG Cat. Easy to remember. Alrighty. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Let's go ahead and let's start our read-through of the Book of Ebon Tides. Okay, so when we last left off, we were talking about the Shadowborn Bearfolk. Now we're going to learn about the Dracul. The Dracul, of course, is the vampiric counterparts to people in the Book of Ebon Tides. So, the Dracul are no strangers to darkness, and over the years, the members of the Twilight Empire deftly adapted to their new home and carved out a thriving civilization in the Shadow Realm. They have grown into a powerful force. Living flesh is scarce in the Shadow Realm, so all the Dracul still hunt the living denizens of the plane and maintain elaborate trade networks to secure living cargo from mortal lands. They have discovered that the crackling trees, an invasive species operating in Evermaw, can assuage most of their hunger, and they have learned to subsist on the blood-like sap drawn from these trees. This practice marks them, though, for the corruption inherent in the flora causes a permanent blackening of the teeth, recession of the gums, and a shriveling of the flesh around the mouth. As a result, the Dracul of the Shadow Realm are much less concerned with concealing their true nature. After all, they are far from the worst things that inhabit the darkness. In addition to the heritage sub-race options presented in Tome of Heroes, a Dracul character from the Shadow Realm can choose one of the following options. Playing a Dracul character. Life as the ravenous undead comes with challenges for an adventurer. People revile the Dracul universally as scavengers at best and as loathsome, murdering abominations at worst. For such a being, participating as a member of an adventuring party is complicated. One of the touchstones that provides stability in your new form is your old life. While you have urges and thoughts that are dark and terrible, memories and feelings from your life before undeath might surface to help you cope. Sometimes these flashes are corrupted versions of your old self, manifesting in your mind in new ways. Pardon me. Other times, the recollections and feelings bubble up unfiltered, reminding you of a time when you were alive. Both are painful, but pain can be instructive. A major question you have to answer when you play a Dracul is, how am I dealing with the challenge that transformed me into a Dracul? Have you fully accepted your new situation, embracing your new powers and hungers as a boon? You fight against your urges daily, seeking to return to your old self? What were your goals before your transformation, and do you still pursue them? Are your goals simply about survival, or are those aspirations a twisted reflection of the goals you had as a living creature? Regardless of your current monstrous state, who you once were has a powerful effect on who you are now. The carefree spirit of a halfling, fiendish urges of a tiefling, or the creative spark of a gnome, all these do not leave you simply because of your new form. How do those traits manifest themselves in you now? There's a great deal of narrative, dramatic, and role-playing potential that tension between the old self and the new. Dracul may be undead, but they still must function in their own society, be it on the surface or in the empires beneath the surface. Most still have jobs to do and dreams to fulfill within their society. Dracul names. Ghouls tend to keep their first names from their time among the living. Their surnames, however, tend to be granted or chosen by the newly arrived Dracul after the crossing, their passage unto undeath. These are sometimes the name of a patron or lord, lady, or a name used with the legions of the empire or within a particular faith. Some common lineage names are provided below. Some names are most common in the priesthoods, while others are from the legions. Outside of those areas, surnames often celebrate particular affiliations in the trade or mark a tie to a founder of a particular note. Because of this naming custom, different Dracul can end up with the same surname due to being the same patron, being part of the same temple, being the spawn of another Dracul, or some other similar circumstance. Ghouls created outside the influence of the Twilight Empire might take on surnames related to their personal goals, keep their original surnames if tempting to regain some semblance of their previous life, or forego a surname to avoid ties to the past, a church, or a patron. Surnames of the priesthood: Almat, Alcan, Akma Alden, Bloodtide, and Vardason. Surnames of the legions: Bonecracker, Ivory, Maggot, Mortis, Reaver, Secundus. And traditional Dracul surnames: Blackwater, Bloodborne, Calva, Canis, Carver, Corvan, Dawnbinder, Demonfinder, Edlist, Fuglin, Ghost, Nullfeeder, Hunter, Jaeger, Miner, or Candace, Osier, Ravenfeeder, Shadowsmith, Strigator, Strix, Dinker, Tanner, Umbro, Unsated, Verskull, Vespertin, Whispersun, Wormsong, and Wraithcaller. Donner, Vixen, Comet. Dracul characters. Both ordinary ghouls and Dracul arise from the infected corpses of other races. Most traits of the previous race are gone when the creature rises as a Dracul, though each Dracul carries some traits from their previous form. Still, most of the Dracul's cosmetic features, such as supple skin or a long beard, fade over time into the giant skull-like face, fanged maw, and taut gray skin of a ghoulish undead. Dracul traits. Ability score increases by 1. An upper limit of Dracul age has never been discovered. Most Dracul die violently. Your alignment does not change, but most Dracul has a strong draw towards evil. Your size is determined by your heritage. Subrace, your speed is determined by your heritage. You can see 60 feet of dark vision, consume 1 pound of raw meat each day, or suffer the effects of starvation. If you go 24 hours without such a meal, you gain 1 level of exhaustion, while you have any levels of exhaustion from this trait. You can't regain hit points or remove levels of exhaustion until you spend at least 1 hour consuming 10 pounds of raw meat. Imperfect Undeath. You transitioned into Undeath, but your transition was imperfect. Though you're a humanoid, you're susceptible to effects that target undead. You gain hit points from spells like Cure Wounds, but you're also affected by game effects that specifically target undead. Game effects that raise a creature from the dead work on you as normal, but they return you to life as a Dracul. A true resurrection or wisp spell can restore you to life as a fully living member of your original race. A powerful jaw. Your heavy jaw is powerful enough to crush bones to powder. Your bite is a natural melee weapon which you can use to make unarmed strikes, equal to 1d4 plus strength, instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for an unarmed strike. Sunlight sensitivity. You have advantage on attack rolls and wisdom protection checks that rely on sight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is in direct sunlight. Undead resilience. You're infused with the dark energy of undeath, which frees you from some frailties that plague most creatures. You have resistance to necrotic and poison damage, immune to disease, have advantage of saving throws against being charmed or poisoned. When you finish a short rest, you can reduce your exhaustion level by 1, provided you have ingested at least 1 pound of raw meat in the last 24 hours. Undead vitality. You don't need to breathe and you don't sleep the way most creatures do. Instead, you enter a dormant state that resembles death, remaining semi-conscious for 6 hours a day. While dormant, you have advantage on wisdom perception checks. After resting this way, you gain the same benefit that a human does from 8 hours of sleep. You can speak, read, and write Darkroll, Umbral, and the language associated with your heritage subrace. Heritage subrace. You were something else before you became a Dracul. As heritage determines some of your traits. Choose one heritage subrace below and apply the listed traits. Heritage Dracul subraces. Before the terrible scourge of Dracul fever transformed you into an undead creature, you belong to another race. Though your undead self now rules you, some remnant of your past form clings to you, making you different from the Dracul created from other races. Bearfolk heritage. Your Dracul character was a bearfolk before becoming a Dracul. Strength increases by 2. Bearfolk can reach a height of over 70 feet, possessing thick, muscular builds. Base walking speed is 30 feet. Jaws of Death. Jaws of Death is equal to 1d6 plus strength. Undead Fortitude. Your tenacity has followed you in Undeath. When you're reduced to hit points but not killed, you can drop to 1 hit point instead. And language, you can speak, read, and write Common or Umbral if native to the Shadow Realm. Shadow Goblin heritage. Dexterity increases by 2. Shadow Goblins are between 3 or 4 feet tall. Base walking speed is 30 feet. Dark Deed, your fascination with humor has not gone away, but you have had to adopt more macabre tactics. As an action, you can perform a combination of rude gestures and sounds in an attempt to scare one creature you see within 30 feet. If the target can see and hear you, it must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or become frightened until the end of its turn. The DC for of its saving throw is equal to 10 plus your charisma modifier. The Shadow Fae. The Shadow Fae are the most abundant and established of the races who dwell in the Shadow Realm. They were long ago stolen away from the Brightlands with promises of power. To outsiders, however, their origins are steeped in mystery. The Shadow Fae rule from their various courts fraught with intrigue and social maneuvering. Interesting. Very interesting. Shadow Fae are immune to the shadow corruption that threatens those from the mortal world, but this protection comes at a cost. Above all, Shadow Fae want to experience the tantalizing emotions and passions that do not come easily to them. They don't look too bad to me. Which ones, the Dracul or the Shadow Fae? Plenty of courtly resources go towards the cultivation and trade of these emotions made tangible by Fae magic. Outside of the courts, Shadow Fae have built magnificent lantern-lit circles and fortresses that mark crossroads throughout the Shadow Realm. They have a deep knowledge of this dark land and a long history with its powers, places, and secrets. A Shadow Fae creature could easily be a minor noble from the courts of the Shadow Fae, from one of the handful of cities of the Shadow Realm, or from a remote outpost where those deemed unfit for politics are trained to be scouts and hunters. Shadow Fae resemble elves physically, but with some striking differences. Their skin color tends towards alabaster white, ebon black, or subtle grays. Many have horns that range widely in size and shape. Alive at core, the Shadow Fae are heavily concerned with courtly politics and often spend their lives positioning themselves to fall into the good graces of the lords and ladies who rule the realm. These Fae are skilled manipulators and negotiators, raised from youth to be quick both with words and the blade. Involvement in the eternal drama of the courts gives purpose to their long lives. Still, their constant desire for novelty can easily see them indulge in long periods of travel or other worthwhile pursuits. Shadow Fae names, male names: Delphrin, Edwin, Ethrin, Lorendral, Gwynter, Shanna, Stanisil, Torovar, Varatir, and Vashrin. And female names: Anorla, Vorva, Delira, Fanwi, Gerthedra, Gerethra, not Gerthedra, Gerethra, Lanrama, Methada, Forla, Suzinga, and Thorda. Bember, Bomber, Bofer, and all of those mild, Welsian expressions. Shadow Fae traits. They're a subrace of elf that enjoy the base elven traits along with the following subrace traits. Charisma increases by 1. Alignment: though they have a malevolent reputation, the Shadow Fae are not inherently evil. They tend towards chaotic neutral, though every variation exists. You have proficiency with a rapier, short sword, long bow, and short bow. When in darkness, dim light, or a shadow large long enough to cover your body, you can cast Misty Step. You can use this ability a number of times per day equal to your Charisma modifier, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Charisma is your spellcasting ability for this spell. Sunlight sensitivity, disadvantage to attack rolls and wisdom perception checks that rely on sunlight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is in bright sunlight. Traveler in darkness, you have an advantage on any Arcana checks to learn about a particular shadow road and how it functions. On language, you can read Elvish and Umbral. The Lunar Elf. The Lunar Elves are an offshoot of Shadow Fae, and are quite rare, and their births are typically regarded as an auspicious omen. If the origin of Shadow Fae is mysterious, then that of the Lunar Elves is even more so, though many Lunar Elves have been recently drawn towards the Moonlit King, seeking out this exiled sovereign. Always born under the light of the full moons, these Shadow Fae seem saturated with its light. The Lunar Elves are not automatically ostracized from the Shadow Fae courts, but they're prepared to take up duties that remove themselves from the watchful eyes of the Shadow Fae nobles, serving as an emissary to the Moonlight Glades, taking up residence in the Starry Court, or training to hunt the beasts of the region is often preferable to the auspicious gaze of the Queen of Night and Magic. Lunar Elves are identical in appearance to Shadow Elves, except their skin glows in the dark and they have luminous silver eyes. While Lunar Elves can learn to suppress this glowing effect, moments of strong eruption tend to reveal their true natures. The horns of Lunar Elves tend to be long, spiraled, and pearlescent. Lunar Elves, example names: Aldabar, Beline, Karopa, Selene, Lesra, Mintella, Kogel, Solaris, Tulub, and Virgesh. Following subrace traits: wisdom increases by 1. Although they have a malevolent reputation, the Shadow Fae are not inherently evil. They tend towards chaotic neutral. You emit bright light in a 15-foot radius and dim light for an additional 15 feet. You can choose to suppress this effect to only dim light in a 15-foot radius, to suppress it completely or activate at any time without spending an action. This effect has a level equal to your proficiency bonus, and if any of this area overlaps with an area of darkness created by a spell of the same level or lower, the spell that created the darkness is dispelled. Moonchild: when in darkness, dim light, or a shadow large enough to cover your body, you can cast a Moonbeam spell. You can use this ability a number of times per day equal to your wisdom modifier. Shadow Fae, weapon training, rapier, short sword, short bow, and long bow. You have advantage on attack rolls, and wisdom perception checks that rely on when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is sunlight. Language, you can speak, read, and write Elvish and Umbral. The Saber Elf. When the elves first began to decline, some chose to stand their grounds, while others accepted a pact with the shadows, and then there were the Sable Elves who simply chose to run. Unfortunately, the splinter group of indecisive elves quickly made enemies, and they were scorned by the elves who had seized the opportunity to forge a shadow pact. So now these Sable Elves are scattered about the realms in perpetual disgrace, not belonging anywhere. However, they have one redoubt of their own, the Court of Golden Oak, see Chapter 6. The few Sable Elves that remain possess the last vestiges of powerful elven magic that helped shape the early phases of the world, and they guard their secrets in isolation. Since there are so few of these elves remaining and only one community to speak of, the Sable Elf lineage is rapidly dying out. Their power allows these ancient elves to survive in almost any climate, and the dark forests of the Shadow Realm house a handful of these wanderers. Sable Elves are dark-eyed, often either red-haired or raven-haired and silver-skinned. They have tall, willowy frames similar to other elves, but carry an irrepressible aura of world weariness. Sable Elf names. Sable Elves follow naming conventions of the ancient elves for their birth name and their second adopted common name. However, they do not adopt the third name or lineage name that some elves do, as a reflection of their disgraced status. Sable Elf traits. If you're an elf with a deeper affinity for elven magic that sets you apart from most other elves, your intelligence score increases by 2, dexterity by 1. Pet. Is that for me? Head pats. Yeah. Head pats, I probably should have worked on the head pat card. Okay, that's going to be coming right down the pipe anytime soon. I'm thinking of designing 5 more cards in the VTuber set. And then, of course I'm going to have to put the effect on myself, but that's not an issue. Alright. So, alignment. Due to their exile status, Sable Elves have lost attachment to many of the values traditionally held by elves. Centuries of solitude have pushed the remaining Sable Elves in different directions, and a variety of alignments are found within their ranks. Blood affinity. Choose a school of magic you have a natural affinity for. You can learn a cantrip of your choice from that school. When you reach 3rd level, choose a 1st level spell, and when you reach 5th level, choose a 3rd level spell from the same school. You can learn these spells and cast them at their lowest level. Once you cast one of these spells, you have to finish a long rest. Language. You can speak, read, and write Elvish and Umbral. Shadow Goblins. Shadow Goblins evolved to thrive in the Shadow Realm as servitors and allies of the Shadow Fae. In time, they founded their own city and have cut their own path. These goblins are closer to the Fae than they are to their monstrous cousins in Mortal Lands, and they possess cunning dispositions that allow them to integrate into the Shadow Courts. They're often blue or purple skinned with bright orange or yellow eyes, and they have a knack for blending into shadows. Good rogues and even better assassins, Shadow Goblins have a dark reputation, but also delight in low humor, drunkenness, roughhousing, and wrestling, with all other feats of skills which they often lose. Shadow Goblins are masters of deception and learn from infancy to take advantage of those who would underestimate them. These creatures share the natural resistance Shadow Fae have to the corrupting influence of the Shadow Realm, and they demonstrate a surprising affinity for shadow weaving and lunar magic. Naturally, their knack for magic is something most Shadow Goblins keep as an advantageous secret. Shadow Goblin names. Individual names among the Shadow Goblins tend to be suggestive of either darkness or whimsy, or better yet, both, as these two facets play such important roles into their day-to-day lives. Many actually feel it's a personal flaw to share a given name with anyone else, so they take great pains to name their children something entirely unique. Family names tend to focus more on utility, another important facet to Shadow Goblins' lives, and are much more descriptive. Male names: Belair, Brodek, Desolé, Desoto, Falco, Farsight, Fringo, Messerino, Piccolo, Stinko, Thunder, and Twisp. Female names: Dani, Jojoni, Lunara, Morameko, Nona, Olara, Omagda, Pippi, Shiadra, Tipita, Valisa. Stinko, my kind of name. Example family names: Bellringer, Butcherson, Candlesmith, Cloud Chaser, Cooperson, Foxskinner, Glimmerfetch, Goldbiter, Ironbeater, Marshhound, Moonshine, Netmender, Potlicker, Potmaker, Cheese Salt, Shepherd's Daughter, Skull Stiffer, Tail Shipper, Wargbender, Weaselwise, and Weaverson. Ability scoring increases, Dexterity increases by 2, Charisma by 1. Shadow Goblins live up to 70 years. Much like the Shadow Fae, they coexist with Shadow Goblins are not inherently evil, despite their reputations. Goblins are between 3 and 4 feet tall and weigh between 40 and 80 pounds. Your size is small. Base walking speed is 30 feet. 60 feet of dark vision. Quick wit, proficiency in the deception and insight skills. Shadow camouflage, advantage on dexterity, stealth checks. Stink Eye. As an action, you can perform a combination of rude gestures and sounds to distract one creature you see within 30 feet. If the target can see and hear you, it must make a charisma saving throw. On a failure, it has disadvantage on the next ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. Sunlight sensitivity, you have a disadvantage on attack rolls and on wisdom perception checks that rely on sight when you, the target of your attack, or whatever you're trying to perceive, is in direct sunlight. Unseelie Blessing, you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep. You can speak, read, and write Goblin and Umbral. Umbral Humans. The Shadow Realm twists beings with its magic, and in the case of Umbral Humans, this influence can have radical effects. The Umbral folk are not merely humans corrupted by shadow, but rather slowly transformed by their exposure to shadow over generations, eventually becoming inured to it. These are the Changelings. Beyond Shadow's natural and inevitable influence, the Shadow Fae have long experimented with the shadows and its effects on mortals, whether to punish the foolish or create better servants, or just for fun. And some Umbral humans, those that survive, are the result of these rituals. These twisted souls are often labeled the gifted by others, but they rarely, if ever, think of themselves in such terms. Umbral human traits, you can choose one score to increase by 2 and a different score to increase by 1. Age, your natural aging process slows and becomes similar to that of an elf or a shadow fae. Excuse me. Got me at a bit of a hiccup there. Umbral humans alignment. Umbral humans have often walked a troubling path to become what they are. This tends to push Umbral humans towards neutral or chaotic alignments, but all variations exist. Bless you. Thank you. With humans from the material plane, Umbral humans vary widely in the height and build, from barely 5 feet tall to well over 6 feet tall. Regardless of your position and range, your size is medium, walking speed is 30 feet, 60 feet of dark vision, resistance to cold damage. While standing perfectly still, you can use an action to become invisible. You become visible again if you move or take an action. You can use this feature a number of times per day, equal to your proficiency bonus. You can speak, read, and write Common and Umbral, and subtypes. The general infusion of Shadow manifests itself in different ways, but 2 especially noteworthy categories of Umbral humans exist: Changelings and the Gifted. Choose one of the 2 subraces presented below. Changelings are the natural result of humans adapting to life in the shadows over multiple generations. Originally, humans were stolen from the mortal lands to serve their Shadow Fae masters, or just on a whim, and many more humans simply got lost in the Shadow Realm and abandoned and ultimately became stranded, and that new life in shadows must ultimately change immortal. Changelings resemble their cousins from the mortal lands, but with hallmarks of life in the shadows, similar to how Shadow Fae differ from other elves. The skin color tends towards alabaster white, ebon black, or subtle grays. Some have even grown rudimentary horns like Shadow Fae. Their appearance may change further in generations to come, perhaps constantly evolving and even drastically diverging in some ways. Changeling, male, Umbral human names: Abradol, Dalid, Hagar, Hossano, Junes, Korin, Mashush, Obrax, Ulaf, and Woldemar. Female, Umbral human names: Alanita, Breck, Gloria, Helgamet, Linnet, Maswin, Nuriam, Rana, Sifar, Sophie, and Ulsa. You are changeling, a human adapted to the shadows. Thrimius Embrace. Charisma increases by 1. Cover story, proficiency in deception. Shadow Glamour, you use an action to cast the disguise self spell at will. The Gifted, dealing with the Fae is dangerous, and the Gifted are living proof. Broken souls are those umbral humans that have drunk a bit too deeply, too quickly of the shadows. This transformation is often initiated by the Shadow Fae, though not always, for there are many dark powers in the shadows. It could be an unwilling change, forced upon an unfortunate soul, or it could be in payment for a fate pact, whether it is a boon or a bane. The Gifted can vary widely in their physical appearance, depending on the nature of the change. Sometimes they appear as normal umbral humans, and sometimes they'll appear as Shadow Fae. Still, other times the change can cause minor cosmetic changes, or even more dramatic and severe changes. Tails, hooves, vestigial wings, and the like are not unknown, not to mention the mental and emotional alterations that can accompany them. No matter how small the physical change, though, a Gifted always bears some sign visible to at least themselves. Occasionally, the change robs the individual of their memories. Gifted names usually follow the same naming customs as changelings, though many take the opportunity to completely reinvent themselves as their change comes later in life, in name and personality traits. Wisdom score increases by 1. Cursed Infusion, you have resistance to necrotic damage. Shadow Gift, you struck a bargain with a Shadow Fae to receive a gift, but it came at a terrible price. Choose one of the options below to determine the benefit and penalty you possess. You become proficient in one skill of your choice and always roll ability checks made with that skill at advantage. Choose a second skill and always roll ability checks made with that skill at disadvantage. You no longer need to eat or breathe to survive and require only 4 hours for long rest. Gain 1 level of exhaustion. This level of exhaustion cannot be removed by any means, magical or non-magical. Cut your base movement speed in half, gain a fly, swim, or climb speed equal to your newly half base movement speed. And increase one of your ability scores by 6 up to 20, or reduce 2 and then reduce 2 different ability scores by 2. Every day at dawn, you gain temporary hit points equal to your constitution score, but you're no longer able to spend hit dice to heal during short rests. Other people of the Shadow Realm attracts a motley spectrum of the strange, the dispossessed, the curious, and the communities. While not great in overall number, these groups are often influential in a particular court, city, and region. They can be brought into the spotlight or ignored by the GM in any particular Shadow Realm adventure or campaign. The Quick Steps. The Quick Steps were among the servitors of the Shadow Fae, brought with them when they first came to the Shadow Realm. Like the Shadow Fae, Quick Steps are innately resilient to the corruption that infuses the area, and they embrace life in the courts with aplomb. Most Quick Steps have a fondness for finery and feel right at home amid the riches of court life. As their name implies, Quick Steps possess a natural affinity for speed, which makes them exquisitely qualified for 2 favored Shadow Fae pastimes, sabotage and dueling. Quick Steps are rarely found outside the Fae courts, but have thriving communities within many of the courts, most notably in the Court of Midnight Teeth and the Court of Winter's Love. Yet Quick Steps are not immune to the wanderlust most Fae experience. These small Fae make for skilled and efficient adventurers and are typically welcome in any company hoping to traverse the dangerous Shadow Realm. Quick Steps like to adopt names that are flashy, memorable, and sound intriguing when announced before a duel. Typically, these are evocative, descriptive words or nature themes, like Birch, Bolt, Crimson, Dandy, Double Time, Echo, Glory, Hotspur, Indigo, Starburst, and Zephyr. Dexterity increases by 2, Charisma increases by 1. Quick Steps have remarkably short lifespan. Quick Steps mature around 10 years and live up to 50 years. Due to their association with the Shadow Fae and their legendary level competition, Quick Steps have many dark reputations but are rarely of evil alignment. Quick Steps are between 3 and 4 feet tall and weigh between 25 and 40 pounds. Your size is small and your base walking speed is 50 feet. You can see within dim light within 60 feet as though it were bright and darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades in gray. Fey ancestry, advantage on saving throws against being charms, and magic cannot put you to sleep. Nimble, proficiency in acrobatics and sleight of hand. Startling speed, your movements are so swift you are almost invisible when in motion. If you move at least 10 feet on your turn, attack rolls against you have disadvantage until the start of your next turn. This feature does not function if you're incapacitated or restrained. You can use this ability a number of rounds per day equal to your level. And you can speak, read, and write Elvish and Umbral. The Ratatosk. In recent decades, the squirrel-like beings called Ratatosk have grown bored with simply safeguarding the World Tree and decided to more actively battle corruption in the Shadow Realm. Being exuberant sentinels against all things evil and having large personalities, Ratatasks are often at odds with many of the Shadow Realm natives. Squirrel folks. Ratatasks are insatiable tricksters, sharing gossip from across the plains. They delight in learning secrets and spreading the tidbits of information in mischievous ways. Resembling squirrels with sleek fur and small tusks, they form one close matriarchal familial unit called Drays within larger communities called Skerries. The adventurous Ratatasks often act as planar guides and guardians, though it's not uncommon to find squirrel folk offering their service as couriers, thieves, or even spies. The Ratatasks make no differentiation between male and female names. These names often tend to be short but highly respected families, occasionally adding infixes like E or Iki to create longer names. Ratatasks who dwell in other planes will sometimes take regional names. Example 4 names: Chiringa, Daresh, Ekerp, Ekita, Carasil, Najuta, Orens, Skirkikaret, Tip-Tup, and Terori. Example surnames: Brightsong, Bristletooth, Flippaw, Jumptwig, Silent Leaf, or Wise Whisker. Racial traits. Your heritage is apparent in a variety of traits that you share with other Ratatasks. Your dexterity score increases by 2, but your strength score decreases by 2. Age. Ratatasks reach adulthood at age 10 and live up to 180 years. Ever curious and delighting in unpredictability, they gravitate towards chaotic alignments as they view laws as vague suggestions at best. Their base walking speed is 25 feet and have a climbing speed of 10 feet. They can see 60 feet of dark vision. 60 feet of dark vision. Ground and Celestial, you're descended from Celestials but strongly attuned to the mortal world. Though you are a humanoid, you are susceptible to effects that target Celestials. Your sharp tusks are natural weapons, which you can use to make unarmed strikes. If you hit them, you can deal 1 piercing damage in addition to 1d4 psychic damage. Telepathic, you can speak telepathically to any creature you can see, provided the creature is within a number of feet of you equal to 10 times your level. You don't need to share a language with a creature for it to understand your telepathic utterances, but the creature must be able to understand at least one language. Can understand and read and write Celestial, Common, but speak via telepathy. 2 main sub-races, the wily Ekor and the brave Tradvact. The Ekor, or Clever Tusk. The Ekor are the image most have in mind when discussing Ratatasks. Superficially similar to squirrels, they have sleek fur, often in shades of red and brown, and tiny tusks. These Celestials dwell upon Yggdrasil and all its branches. Clever, egotistical, and endlessly curious, the Ekor carry messages across the plains, sharing information from individual to individual in never-ending gossip network. Ability score increase. Either your intelligence or charisma score increases by 1. Size. Ekor Ratatasks are around 1 and 1.5 feet tall and weigh between 20 and 50 pounds. Your size is tiny. Blessing of Yggdrasil. If you are attuned to the World Tree and can tap into its power, you know the message and vicious mockery cantrips. When you reach 5th level, you can cast Mirror Image spell with this trait. Once you cast a non-cantrip spell with this trait, you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Charisma is your spell-casting ability for these spells. Diminutive weapons. You can wield weapons with light or finesse properties normally. You have disadvantage in attack rolls with other weapons, unable to use them effectively due to your tiny size. Now, Tradvact, the Tree Protector. The Tradvact, also called Ratusk warlords, believe themselves to be the guardians or protectors of Yggdrasil and the branches of the World Tree. Larger than their Ikor cousins, the Tradvact train from a young age to master weapons and battle tactics. They act to maintain order with their communities and keep out dangers that threaten those settlements. Tradvact who become adventurers do so for a wide variety of reasons. Some can seek a more active way to combat evil before it can threaten the World Tree. Others simply wish to improve their martial skills. No matter the reason, Tradvact will rise to any challenge and be victorious. Your Constitution score increases by 1. Size, Tradvact stands between 2 and 3 feet tall, weighing from 60 to 100 pounds. Some massive Ratusk warlords reach a towering 3.5 feet, and your size is small. The Ward Shatter, your constant chittering distracts your opponents. As a bonus action, a non-Ratatusk creature within 30 feet that can hear you must succeed on a Charisma saving throw, or have its advantage on attack rolls until the start of your next turn. The DC of the save equals A plus your proficiency bonus plus your Constitution bonus. Once you finish this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a short rest. The Spiritfarer Arena. The Arena are a race of bipedal folk that resemble hedgehogs. Originally hailing from the Bright Lands, the Shadow Fae brought arenas along as servitors when they first came to the Shadow Realm, where they quickly adapted to the shadows and have learned to thrive in dark forests and underground warrens. Their natural propensity for exploration and their unrivaled burrowing skills mean that they've tunneled their way into a strange new locale, including the mortal realms. They primarily settled around the plateau that hosts the open wood and the Silver Hills, but regular bands of explorers, naturalists, and wilderness guides have established underground camps throughout the realm. The Shadow Fae are not entirely pleased by the arena's wanderlust, making them less entirely useful servants, nor with the open policy of assisting travelers in and out of the Shadow Realm through their underground shadow roads. However, at least for now, it's easier for the Shadow Fae to ignore the aspects of these crafty survivalists. Spiritfarer arenas are a subrace of arenas. You can find out more about the base arena race in the Tome of Heroes book. Arena names translate poorly into other languages. When outside arena land, the hedgehog folk tend to adapt names with long, open vowel sounds. These sounds are rare in their own language and bring pleasure to their ears. Example names: Mene, Yi, Li-Mei, Ainor, Dainu, Launor, or Irwin. If you're a Spiritfarer arena whose ancestors are forever changed by the Shadow Realm, setting you apart from most other arena. You exhibit a few different traits from typical arenas. The following traits include those shared with the base arena traits, though replacing the ability to score a handy spines and keen sense traits with those listed. Wisdom score increases by 2, and you can choose to increase dexterity or charisma by 1. Arena reach maturity around 15 years and can live up to 60 years. Though some arena burrow elders have memories of events that suggest that arena can live much longer. Alignment: Spiritfarer arena are good-hearted and extremely social creatures with an oversized sense of wonder. They have a difficult time adapting to the laws of other people, but they cherish the bonds of their communities. They tend to be more towards neutral and lawful alignments. Arena average about 3 feet tall and weigh about 50 pounds. They are small sized. Base walking speed is 25 feet, 60 feet of dark vision. Digger, you have a burrow speed of 20 feet, but you can use it only to move through earth and sand, not mud, ice, or rock. Quills, your spines are longer and more potent than other arenas whenever you make a successful melee attack against a target. That target takes an additional 1d6 piercing damage. This trait replaces the base arena spines trait. Sharp instincts, you can't be surprised except when incapacitated by something other than non-magical sleep. The spirit tongue, you have an innate knack for speaking to the spirit world. You know the message cantrip. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the charm person spell with this trait, and starting at 5th level, you can cast the ethereal spell with it. Once you cast a non-cantrip spell with this trait, you can't do this again until you finish a long rest. Wisdom is your spell casting ability for these spells. Languages: you can speak Arena and Umbral, and either Common, Elvish, or Sylvan. The Stygian Shade. The river Styx winds through the Shadow Realm, full of mindless shades that live only to consume the memories of those that they can drown. An unfortunate few of these shades, bound to the plane, retain their mental faculties, yet suffer daily to recall who they once were. Shades from Shadow Realm are different from those in Mortal Realms because they specifically lack most of their memories and the drive to find what propels them. Newly born shades are difficult to distinguish from ghosts, but most settlements in the Shadow Realm are familiar enough with the phenomenon to recognize a new shade when they stumble into town with no recollection of where they came from. The city of Sorry Glass became a haven for various undead, and shades congregate there in large numbers. It is often called the City of Shades. And a small community of shades have set up camp near the river Styx in hopes of preemptively finding and getting the unfortunate individuals who wander out of its waters. The growing community is dedicated to helping shades of the Shadow Realm and to gathering resources to help its members discover who they once was. What on earth? Yeah, I feel as though that actually might be the loading screen for streamloots. It doesn't actually indicate that anybody did anything in streamloots. I realized there was a mistake that I did that prevented me from seeing the things in chat, and it was the fact that I had not yet modded the streamloots bot. So that's effectively what that is. So yeah, that would do it. Stygian shade names, the shades of the Shadow Realm, waken with little to no memory of who they were in life and rarely know their own names. Rediscovering one's name is a huge piece of reclaiming one's identity, so shades do that to learn their own names, use them with pride. For shades who don't remember, they often choose and discard different names for themselves as they attempt to find something that feels familiar. Let me see. Your identity is stripped by the waters of the Shadow Realm, which sets you apart from most other shades. You exhibit a few traits from the shades of mortal lands. These include those shared with the basic shades traits found in the book Tome of Heroes, although replacing the ability scoring increased life size drain and living origin traits with those listed. Your Constitution score increases by 2, and one other ability of your choice increases by 1. Shades appear as the age they were when they died. They potentially have no limit to their lifespan, but realistically, ancient shades grow weary and lose their will to hold on to reality, fading away near 750 years old or so. Stygian shade come from all walks of life, but tend towards neutrality. Those who can't recover their memories or grow to resent their condition often drift towards evil alignments. Choose whatever you are, small or medium size. Your speed is 30 feet, 60 feet of dark vision. Death Mask, as an action, you can strip away your veneer in life and expose your true spectral face. All non-undead creatures within 30 feet that can save you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened by 1 minute. Starting at 3rd level, you can use your action to dissolve your physical body into the ephemeral stuff of spirits. You become translucent and devoid of color, and the air around you grows cold. Your transformation lasts for 1 minute or until you end it as a bonus action. Imperfect Undeath. You're a humanoid, but your partial transition into undeath makes you susceptible to effects that target undead. Mysterious origins. Stygian shades are born with almost no memory of their former lives, but have an innate desire to remember who they are. When you create your shade, decide which one of these questions you want to know the answer to. What is your name? Who are you from? Who are the people you love most? How did you die? What unfinished business has caused you to rise as a shade? And Spectral Resilience. You have advantage on saving throws against poison and disease, and you have resistance to necrotic damage. You can speak, read, and write Umbral and one other language of your choice. Stygian shades, like other shades, Stygian shades fade away as a remembrance of them becomes distant. But unlike those other shades, Stygian shades, those shades that arise from the waters of the Shadow Realm, remember almost nothing of their previous lives, and they frequently strive to recover them with the slight detail of who they once were, collecting clues about their own past. Alright. Okay, the Sublime Ravenfolk. A growing population of Ravenfolk have joined the mystery cult of the Shadow Realm. Some claim this cult is new, and others that it has ancient roots that are just now being renewed. These Ravenfolk call themselves Seekers of the Sublime and reportedly are drawn by a mysterious psychic song. Their numbers are still few, but more arrive along the shadow roads from the mortal lands regularly, waiting for the unknown singer to reveal their intentions. This network is highly secretive about the details of their mission, but so far they have not conducted open hostilities against other people of Shadow. Sublime Ravenfolk are a subrace of Ravenfolk, again from a book called the Midgard Heroes Handbook. Alright. Sublime Ravenfolk names, as with many other races whose native language is difficult with human-like vocal organs to deal with, Ravenfolk tend to use different names among humans, dwarves, elves, and other humanoids than they use on their own kind. When choosing human-friendly names, Ravenfolk borrow liberally from local traditions, mythology, and popular songs and poetry. They prefer evocative names like Star Shadow, Moon Glow, and Rain Shiver over more prosaic labels, but that's as much consistency as it's possible to define. Oh, don't tell me the streamloots command isn't working. Hang on a second. I'll just take a half a second to go over to Streamlabs and fix this. So probably something I shut off when I was working on the CloudBot. I have two CloudBots now, one for each program. Okay, here it is. Okay. Timers off, and then quotes are off. Commands. Alright. Okay, it should be working now. Let me see, okay. Traits, ability score increase, dexterity increases by 2, charisma increases by 1. Ravenfolk reach adulthood at 10 years of age and can live to be 110. Let me go back to the main screen. Sublime Ravenfolk are more often tend towards lawful alignments than their cousins in the mortal world. They tend to seek stability and connectedness in their relationships and trusting their path to the song. Ravenfolk are slighter and shorter than humans. They reach from 4 feet to just shy of 6 feet tall. Base speed is medium. Base walking speed is 30 feet. Constant time, you have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Cosmic Musician, you have proficiency in performance and gain proficiency with one musical instrument of your choice. And Sublime Chord. They say there is a secret chord that Nero played, and it pleased the Lord. It wasn't Nero. As an action, you can mimic the mysterious Sublime song to charm creatures within range. All creatures within 30 feet that can hear you must succeed on a DC 13 Charisma saving throw, or become charmed by you for 10 minutes. The charmed creatures regard you as a casual friend. A creature makes a saving throw with advantage if you or your companions are fighting it. Once you use this ability, you cannot do so again until you complete a long rest. I like Sublime. Well, I don't really believe that was Sublime. I forget exactly who popularized that. Once you have this ability, you can't do so again until you complete a long rest. You can speak, read, and write Common Folk, Ravenfolk, and Umbral. The Unbound Satar. Satar, renowned planar travelers and visits to the Shadow Realm are no exception. As the populations of races grow in various kingdoms of Shadow, so do the network of gateways feeding into their shallow roots also grows. None are more aware of this than the Unbound Satar, a small faction zealously dedicated to unraveling barriers between the worlds. The Unbound Satar are a curiosity even among their own kind, since they have an instinctual sensitivity to places of transition. An Unbound Satar is compelled to find such gateways and widen their influence through mundane or magical means. Stare. It still doesn't seem to be working. Okay, tap. Maybe I have it written wrong somewhere. This means something. This is important. All right. Mission. I just went back to Cloudbot and it was turned off again. There's a little bit of a delay in flipping the switch. I'm just making sure it doesn't flip back once I click away from the window. Okay, there it is. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yes. Like Unbound Sitar names. Unbound Sitar names often resemble names of the cultures that they were raised, although Sitar raised on the plains or in the cults of darkness or death tend towards names common to those places that invoke the cult's tenets. Names in void speech are also common and presented below. All Sitar are given cult names indicating which dark god their lives are dedicated to at their naming days. Such names preference the cult or god with AI, and sometimes shorten the cult or god's name by 2 or 3 syllables. Example male names: Aragret the Eater, Denaherek the Servant, Medlos the Binder, Morkuther the Darkness, Narkot the Gnawer, Palsor the Slaver, Vesar the Blood Drinker, and Ravres the Slayer. And so it doesn't actually follow that particular naming stream. It just simply means that every one of their names has a one-word definition, and that's what the one-word definition is. Atlessa the and then example female names: Atlessa the Jewel, Benulet the Scout, Frizzle the Scribe, Ixa the Blade, Miskra the Maggot, Respi the Builder, Unscapa the Wisdom, and Unterra the Doom. You're a Sitar with a tendency for plane hopping that sets you apart from most other Sitar. Constitution score increases by 2. Wisdom score increases by 1. Sitar grow quickly, walking soon after breathing and reaching the development of a 15-year-old human by age 6. They maintain the same appearance until about 50, and then gain a rapid decline. Sitar often die violently, but those who live longer survive to no more than 65 years of age. Sitar are born with a tendency to evil akin to that of rapacious dragons, and when raised among Sitar or Durakul, they are usually evil. Those raised among other cultures tend toward the norm for those cultures. They're tall and thin, from 6 to 7 feet tall. The base walking speed is 30 feet, 60 feet of dark vision. I mean, everything has 60 feet of dark vision. If you want to live in the Ebon land, you had better be able to see in the dark. Keeper of Secrets, proficiency in Arcana, and have to have advantage on Intelligence Arcana checks related to the planes and planar travel. Portal sense: while in a confined space, you instinctively know the direction and distance to the closest non-magical entrance or exit to the area you are currently in. You also have advantage on any Intelligence or Wisdom ability checks made to find the secret or invisible doors and magical portals. Unraveling Touch: you can use your action to attempt to tear at the reality that keeps a being together. Choose a creature you can see within 30 feet. That creature must make a Constitution saving throw. A creature that fails a saving throw must use this action each turn to repeat the saving throw as it attempts to keep itself in one piece. Alright. The Weird Gnome. Weird Gnomes are accomplished arcanists and have a preferred status as servitors to the Shadow Fae, having come with them to the Shadow Realm. Weird Gnomes possess physical traits typical to the type of gnomes to which they are born, but they are born with 2 different colored eyes, the right one always blue, the left one always green. Weird Gnomes possess an innate prescient ability that grows stronger in proximity to other Weird Gnomes. Some gnome communities find their powers a blessing, while others find it disturbing. Over generations, weird gnomes have gathered together in small communities of their own kind. However, they don't always birth more weird gnomes, and their communities and families have gnomes of other varieties within them. Given the collective prescient power of weird gnome communities, they can be fascinating places to visit. Travelers may enter an inn to find the food and drink they wish for already in place at a table. Conversations may start with weird gnomes, giving answers before the questions are asked. Okay, weird gnome names: Al Cooper, Begin, Ginger Crick, Goldenlock, Istabash, Kunian, Morena, Mulliget, Sadrian, and Tervalis. A wisdom score increases by 1. Natural diviner, you have an innate knack for understanding the world and can catch glimpses of the mysteries of the universe. You know guidance. When you reach 3rd level, you can cast the identify spell with this trait, and on a 5th level, you can cast augury with it. Prescience, when you finish a long rest, roll a d20 and record the number rolled. For your next long rest, you can replace 1 attack roll, 1 saving throw, or ability check made by your creature that you can see with this prescient roll. If 20 weird gnomes are present within a half mile of you, when you make the prescience rolls, you can add 1 to the result. Anytime the number of nearby weird gnomes is doubled, you can gain an additional bonus of 1 to the roll, plus 2 for foreign gnomes, plus 3 for 80, and so on, for a maximum bonus of 5. Alright. Chapter 3. Heroes from the Shadows. Yeah, so we made it out of the character section. Heroes native to the Shadow Realm are often quite distinct. Their powers are attuned to drawing from shadow or to resisting it, and many heroes know the allure of darkness all too well. This chapter provides 10 new heroic subclasses appropriate to the plane. The Circle of Shadows Druid. Druids who belong to the Circle of Shadows embrace the primal power of darkness as the purest distillation of the natural world. While other druids might concern themselves with balance, the Circle of Shadows understands that all things eventually return to darkness, so that must be understood. Umbral Form, starting at 2nd level as a bonus action, you can expend the use of your wild shape feature to take on a shadowy umbral form rather than transforming into a beast. While in umbral form, you retain your statistics, but your body becomes transparent like smoke. This form lasts for 10 minutes. While you're in this form, you gain the following features. While in dim light or darkness, you can take hide as a bonus action. You can move through spaces narrowed as 1 inch wide without squeezing, and when a creature you can see hits you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction to deal cold damage equal to your proficiency bonus to that creature. Circle spells. You embrace the powers of shadow, a dark force that suffuses reality. Your connection to this energy grants you access to some spells when you reach certain levels in this class, as shown in the Circle of Shadows spells table. Once you gain access to one of these spells, you always have it prepared, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you can prepare each day. If you can gain access to a spell that doesn't appear on the Druid spell list, this spell is nonetheless a Druid spell for you. Circle of Shadows spells, 2nd level, Bane, False Life, 3rd level, Darkness, Dark Vision, 5th level, Blink and Fear, 7th level, Black Tentacles and Greater Invisibility, and 9th level, Cold of Cone and Dream. Dark Servant, your ability to awaken shadows to do your own bidding. As a bonus action, you can target a creature that you see within 30 feet. That creature's shadow comes to life as a separate creature under your command using the shadow stat block. The shadow appears in an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the target and can act immediately. The shadow acts on your initiative. It must spend its turn moving towards the target by the most direct route, and it can use its action only to attack the target. If the shadow hits with an attack instead of doing damage, the target instead has disadvantage on the first track or saving throw it makes before the start of the shadow's next turn. The shadow disappears if it is reduced to 0 hit points, if its target is reduced to 0 hit points, or after 5 minutes. You can use this feature a number of times equal to Wisdom modifier, and if you regain all expended uses if you finish a long rest. Shadow Mass, at your 10th level, your umbral form grows in power. You can gain the You can gain a fly speed equal to your normal speed, and you can hover. You have resistance to all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. Darkness Falls. At 14th level, you can use an action to emit a 15-foot radius sphere of magical darkness centered on yourself. The sphere moves with you, and its darkness spreads around corners. When you create the sphere, you can designate any number of creatures that can see through the darkness, but otherwise a creature with dark vision can't see through it, and the non-magical light cannot illuminate it. The sphere lasts for 1 minute until you're incapacitated and until it comes to contact with sunlight. If any of this effect's area overlaps with an area of light created by a spell of 7th or lower, the spell that created the light is dispelled. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Okay, the College of Shadow Bard. Fear of darkness is one of the most primal emotions, and bards of the College of Shadow manipulate such fears to enhance their artistry. These bards weave the gray boundaries between light and dark to terrify and inspire captive audiences. Dancing Shadows. When you join the college at 3rd level, you gain the ability to weave a pocket of protective shadows. As a bonus action, you can expend a bardic inspiration to create a 20-foot radius sphere of shifting shadows centered on you. The sphere moves with you, spreads around corners, lasts for 1 minute until you're incapacitated or you die. Allied creatures, including you, standing in the sphere, have half cover, and creatures outside the sphere have disadvantage on wisdom checks made to perceive anything inside the sphere. Dark vision does not nullify this effect. Creatures that don't rely on eyesight are immune to this effect. If any of this effect's area overlaps with an area of light created by a spell of 2nd level or lower, the spell that created the light is dispelled. Fear of the Dark. Also at 3rd level, your intimate knowledge of darkness allows you to harness its frightful properties to the fullest and keep your allies grounded. While in dim light or darkness, you and any allies you have disadvantage against fear effects. Shade Step. At 6th level, shadow gathers around those you inspire. Immediately after a creature adds one of your bardic inspiration dice to its ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, the creature can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. Night Music. At 14th level, you can view your spellcasting with the full energy and terror of night. When you cast a spell, you can spend your reaction to also choose a number of creatures within 60 feet of you who saw the spell up to a number equal to your charisma modifier. Each target must save on a charisma saving throw against your spell or be frightened for 1 minute. A creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, adding the effect up on itself on a success. Once you use the feature, you can use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Okay. Keeper Domain. The Keeper Domain focuses on social bonds and well-regulated communities. These communities might be as small as an adventuring party or as large as a city, but all recover safety and comfort to thrive. Keeper Domain clerics excel in leadership positions and are the first to take up arms when their homes or allies need protection. Keeper Domain. Okay, so this is a cleric subclass. Keeper Domain spells: Command and Hunter's Mark. 1st level. 3rd level, Calm Emotions and Warding Bond. 5th level, Beacon of Health and Spirit Guardians. 7th level, Death Ward and Guardian of Faith. And 9th level, Hallow and Telepathic Bond. A Blessed Chosen. Starting at 1st level, you can insert your Divine Will to protect your allies. When an enemy within 30 feet of you that you see attacks one of your allies, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on attack roll before it hits and misses. You can also use this feature a number of times equal to Wisdom. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Also at 1st level, you gain proficiency with martial weapons and proficiency within the persuasion skills. Channel Divinity, Divine Initiative. Starting at 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to enhance your allies' potential. As an action, you present your holy symbol and choose a number of creatures that you can see that can see you within 60 feet of you, up to a number equal to your Wisdom score. Each of them gains 5 temporary hit points. When a target gains these temporary hit points, they can immediately use their reaction to make one weapon attack. The number of temporary hit points increases when you reach certain levels in this class, increasing to 8 at 6th level, 11th at 8th level, and 14th at 17th level. Fighting Fit. At 6th level, you give the ability to shore up your allies' reserves as a reaction when you and an ally that you see within 30 feet of you is charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned. You can remove that condition. Hobbling Strike at 8th level, you gain the ability to infuse your weapon strikes with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with a weapon, the target must make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC or be knocked prone. When you reach 14th level, the target's spell is also halved until the start of your next turn. Dewy Over Dust, starting at 17th level, you can exert your power to call companions back from the brink of death. When an ally you see within 60 feet of you is reduced to 0 hit points but not killed, they instead remain conscious and regain hit points equal to half their maximum hit points. You can use this feature only if you are incapacitated. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. So, the Light Weaver's Sorceress Origin. Yeah, clearly for the Sorcerer. Their powers are drawn from the spark of light kindled within you. In places of great darkness, there are always those born with an affinity for light, and every shadow must have a shining source. The shadow within you represents cosmic balance, and like the light, your magic flickers from radiance to darkness moment to moment. A trick of the life, starting at first level, you can see normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 60 feet. Flickering Aura, starting at first level, you can choose whether your magic is light-shifted or dark-shifted. You can change your choice at the end of a long rest. While light-shifted, you can use an action to emit an aura of bright light in a 15-foot radius sphere centered on yourself. While the aura persists, you can use a bonus action to expand or reduce its radius of light by 5 feet to a maximum of 30 feet each or a minimum of 10 feet. While dark shifted, you gain the same ability, but you project an aura of non-magical darkness. Refraction Shield at 6th level. You can manipulate the light around you for protection. As a bonus action, you can spend 3 sorcery points to magically create a shield of light. While the shield is in place whenever a creature within 5 feet of you hits with a melee attack, the shield flashes with searing energy, and the attacker takes 2d8 radiant damage if you are light shifted, or 2d8 necrotic damage if you are dark shifted. Aura Magnification, starting at 14th level. Your manipulation of the light around you becomes masterful. While light shifted, your flickering aura produces sunlight, while dark shifting, your aura produces magical darkness. If any of these areas overlap with an area of light or darkness created by a spell equal to lower than the level of your highest available spell slot, the spell that created the light or the darkness is dispelled. Spellbind, beginning at 18th level. If your spell energy overwhelms your target perceptions, as an action you can spend 5 sorcery points to empower your flickering aura. For 1 minute, until you lose your concentration, each hostile creature that starts its turn with 60 feet of you must succeed on a Constitution saving throw, or be blinded until the aura ends. Alright. Illumination Magic. If you have access to deep magic, consider granting Lightweaver spells. Lightweaver Sorcerer spells from the School of Illumination. These are spells dealing with light, stars, and darkness, and fit the character type perfectly from a story and theme perspective. Alright. The Mother of Sorrows, Warlock. Universal suffering has given rise to an enigmatic being known as the Mother of Sorrows, and warlocks who bind themselves to her cause seek to spread her poisonous vengeance. The Mother of Sorrows was born from suffering of parents who have lost children to pestilence, disease, and treachery, and her gifts grant warlocks the power to avenge the thousands of sorrows laid at her feet. The Mother of Sorrows lets you choose from an expanded spell list. First level, detect poison and disease, inflict wounds. Second level, ray of enfeeblement and silence. Third level, stinging cloud, vampiric touch. Fourth level, greater invisibility and phantasmal killer. And fifth level, cloud kill or contagion. Poison soul, starting at first level, your affinity for poison becomes supernatural. Any poison damage you deal ignores any resistance or immunity. Venomous Mark, at first level, as a bonus action, choose one creature that you see within 30 feet of you that target is cursed for 1 minute. The curse ends early if the target dies, or you die, or you're incapacitated. Until the curse ends, you deal an extra 1d6 poison damage to the target whenever you hit it with a spell attack. If that target drops to 0 hit points before the curse ends, you can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to curse a new creature. Only one creature can be affected with the Venomous Mark at any given time. Sickening Revenge, starting at 6th level, you can take vengeance on those who harm you. When you take damage, you use your action to attempt to poison the creature that damaged you. The triggering creature must make a Constitution saving throw, or be poisoned for 1 minute. An affected creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending its condition on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long or short rest. Dark Inoculation. Starting at 10th level, your poisonous magic has infused in your body. You are immune to disease, poison damage, and the poison condition. Touch of Sorrow. Starting at 14th level, when you create a creature with an attack, you can use this creature to infuse the target with your sorrow. The target must make a wisdom saving throw or be paralyzed or poisoned for 24 hours. The creature remains paralyzed until it takes damage or is no longer poisoned. You must finish a short or long rest before you can use this feature again. The Shadow Arcane Tradition, a wizard subclass. The powers of Shadow are an obsession for wizards who follow the Shadow Arcane Tradition. Because they understand the Shadow's tantalizing powers and seek to learn more, these practitioners infuse their very beings with it to discover its secrets firsthand. Alright. Shadow Symbiote. At 2nd level, you bond a living shadow to your body, wearing it like a second skin. It will serve as a spin-off to the Spider-Man series and severely make you crave chicken nuggets. While you're bonded in this way, you gain the following. You gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, its range is extended by 60 feet. You can see in magical darkness out to a range of 30 feet. You have sunlight sensitivity, and while in sunlight, you have disadvantage on attack rolls. The Dark Transfusion. Starting at the 2nd level, you can feed energy into your symbiote to transform it. As a bonus action, you can expand 2 spell slots to recover 1 spell slot equal to or less than the total combined value of the expended spell slots. For example, you could expend a 1st level spell slot and a 2nd level spell slot to recover 1 3rd level spell slot. Orb of Night. At 6th level, your Shadow Symbiote can expand to hide you from foes. When a creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to encase yourself in a 10-foot radius sphere of magical darkness, imposing disadvantage on attacks against you if a creature cannot see through magical darkness. If the triggering target hits you with the attack, you can't use this feature on the attacker again until you finish a long rest. The darkness persists until the beginning of your next turn. You must choose to use this feature before knowing whether the attack hits or misses. Creatures that don't rely on eyesight are immune to this effect. Starting at 10th level, your Shadow Symbiote will camouflage you, allowing you to get the drop on your enemies. Whenever you roll initiative on dim light or darkness, you're automatically hidden from all creatures at least 10 feet away from you, and you're no longer hidden if you move, attack, or cast a spell. Second Skin, at 14th level, the Shadow I was a little bit just kind of thrown off by the fact that Streamloots posted a completely different message. And so, I had set up Streamloots chatbot in order to make sure that, I just had any Streamloots timer announcements coming through that cloudbot. And it's surprising me a couple of times because, it's providing a whole litany of different slogans for the potential Streamloots promotion that I'm running. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like Streamloots. Streamloots has been, towing the line when it comes to doing stream promotion. Starting at 14th level, your Shadow Symbiote shares your pain while in dim light. You have a +2 to AC and resistance to all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Okay. The Shadow Domain for Cleric. The Shadow Domain embraces the darkness that surrounds all things and manipulates the transitory gray that separates light from dark. Shadow Domain clerics walk a subtle path, frequently changing allegiances and preferring to operate unseen. Shadow Domain spells: 1st, Bane, False Life; 3rd, Blindness, Deafness, and Darkness; 5th, Blink and Fear; 7, Black Tentacles and Greater Invisibility; and 9th, Cold of Cold and Dream. Cover of Night. When you choose this domain at 1st level, you gain proficiency in stealth and dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision, its range increases by 30 feet. In addition, when you are in dim light or darkness, you can use a bonus action to hide. Lengthened Shadow. Starting at 1st level, you can manipulate your own shadow to extend your reach. When you cast a cleric spell with a range of touch, your shadow can deliver the spell as if you had casted the spell. Your target must be within 15 feet of you, and you must be able to see the target. You can use this feature even if you're in an area where you cast no shadow. Channel Divinity Shadow Grasp. Starting at 2nd level, you can use Channel Divinity to turn a creature's shadow against them. Let me see. As an action, choose one creature. You see within 30 feet of you, that creature must make a strength saving throw. If it fails a saving throw, it is restrained by its shadow until the end of your next turn. I was trying to figure out if this was the exact same ability as Warlock, but apparently it isn't. Apparently, this is actually, doing a grapple using somebody else's shadow, which is pretty bitchin' in a completely scientific term. At 6th level, Fade to Black. At 6th level, you conceal yourself in shadow. As a bonus action, when you're in dim light or darkness, you can magically become invisible for 1 minute. This effect ends early if you attack or cast a spell. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You gain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Diabolical move. Absolutely. Armory of Shadow. At 17th level, you can manipulate multiple shadows simultaneously. When you use Shadow Grasp, you can affect a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus. Alright. The Shadow Gnawer Barbarian. Dark energy infuses the Shadow Realm, corrupting and corroding everything it touches. Some barbarians intentionally consume this raw shadow, infusing their bodies with shadow energy to manifest potent magical abilities. Many of the barbarians who walk this path do so to absorb harmful shadow magic into themselves in order to protect others from its influence. A smaller group consumes the shadow simply because they cannot resist its ever-present temptation. Shadow Smoke. Starting at 3rd level, you emanate tendrils of shadow smoke while you are raging. The smoke extends 10 feet from you in any creature and any direction, and any creature other than you that starts its turn in the smoke has disadvantage on its next attack roll. The Creeping Fog. Starting at 6th level, you can burst into a mist of raw shadow and then reassemble yourself somewhere else. As an action, you magically teleport along with any equipment you are wearing or carrying up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. Before or after teleporting, you can make one melee attack. Consume the Darkness. At 10th level, while raging, you can feed on the shadows around you to restore your vitality. While in no dim light or darkness, you can use a bonus action to regain hit points equal to 1d12 plus your Constitution modifier. For the duration of your rage, you regain 1 hit point at the start of each of your turns. Once you use this feature, you must finish a short or long rest before you can use it again. Corrosive Haze. At 14th level, your Shadow Smoke is more potent. Any hostile creature that enters the smoke or starts its turn in the smoke must succeed on the Constitution saving throw or be blinded until the beginning of its next turn. The DC equals 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your con modifier. Creatures that don't rely on eyesight are immune to this effect. Umbral Rider, the Rogue. Some rogues are content to steal mere treasures, but Umbral Binders possess the energies that shape the world. Through secret rites and rituals, these rogues have learned to bind the powers of shadow into themselves and use its power to fuel their abilities. Eyes in the Dark. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, your experience with the raw magic of shadow affects your senses. You gain dark vision out to a range of 120 feet. Shadow Bind. Starting at 3rd level, you can perform a special ritual to siphon the power of shadow and bind it to yourself. You can conduct this ritual during a long rest. Performing the ritual requires time spent meditating in non-magical darkness for at least 1 hour. At the end of the ritual, you choose one of the following effects, which will last for 24 hours, or until you perform the ritual again. 1. When you're in dim light or darkness, as part of your move, you can teleport up to half your speed to an unoccupied space that you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. 2. When you're in dim light or darkness, if you move at least half your speed, you benefit from a perpetual half cover until the start of your next turn, plus 2 bonus to AC and Dexterity. When you hit with a melee or ranged weapon attack, you can cause the attack to deal additional cold damage equal to your proficiency bonus. The Cloak Dagger. At 9th level, the shadows hide your every strike. You gain an additional way to use your sneak attack. You don't need advantage on the attack roll to use your sneak attack against a creature. If you're within 30 feet, are in dim light or darkness, and don't have disadvantage on the attack roll, all the other rules for a sneak attack will still apply to you. Black Magic. At 13th level, you can draw more power from the shadows bound to you. As a bonus action, you can cast Darkness without providing material components. Once you use this feature 3 times, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest. Additionally, when you're in an area of dim light or darkness, you can use your action to become invisible. You remain invisible until you make an attack, cast a spell, or are in an area of bright light. Shadow Grasp. At 17th level, you can wrap your foes in debilitating shadow. When you deal sneak attack damage to a creature, you can force them to make a dexterity saving throw. If the save fails, the target is restrained for 1 minute. The restrained target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, edging the effect on itself on a success. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Okay. Way of the Prophet. Monk. Monks who follow the way of the Prophet refuse to cloister the wisdom they have learned. They are driven to spread their knowledge to all peoples of the land. Some are set on this path by divine intervention. Others take up the Prophet's mantle out of a sense of personal obligation. They all share a deep-rooted faith that empowers their actions. Wise words. When you choose this tradition at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in performance and persuasion skills. Additionally, whenever you roll an ability check using a charisma-based skill, you can use your wisdom modifier instead of your charisma modifier. Charming Aura. When you use this tradition at 3rd level, you can use your key to duplicate the effects of certain spells. As an action, you can spend a key point to cast Charm Person or Command, or you can expend 2 key points to cast a suggestion. Righteous Strike. At 6th level, when you hit a target with an unarmed strike, you spend 1 key point to cause the attack to deal either Radiant if you're good aligned or Necrotic if you're evil aligned damage equal to your proficiency bonus. You can use this feature only once on each of your turns. The Blessed Chosen. Beginning at 11th level, you are protected by the forces who spur your mission. If you're reduced to 0 hit points, you immediately gain hit points equal to your monk level. Alternatively, you can use an action to touch a fallen creature that has been dead for no longer than 10 minutes, and they return to life with hit points equal to your monk level. You must finish a long rest before you can use this feature again. Force of Personality. Whenever any creature tries to attack you for the first time on a turn, you can use your reaction to roll a Charisma, Performance, or Persuasion ability check. If your check is higher than the creature's Wisdom ability score, it can attack you on this turn and must choose a new target for its attack, or the attack is wasted. Excuse me. Get a little water there. Chapter 4. Magic in the Shadow Realm. So yeah, we have successfully covered all races and classes at this point. The Shadow Realm resonates with magic, and the land itself is but a shadow matter, a source of arcane shaping for those who understand it. And creatures born into or corrupted by shadow may develop unique magical abilities, possessing great power over illusion, enchantments, and the manipulation of shadow. With magic woven into its very nature, the plane is fertile ground for some schools and styles of magic. At the same time, spells and other magic used within its borders can produce unexpected effects. Most of these effects appear unsettling, but are merely cosmetic. Spells that create light, for instance, glow with a sickly green, blue, or purple illumination. Energy created by spells pulsates with black veins, rise in dark flames, or crackles with black lightning. Conjured animals are drawn from those typically found in the Shadow Realm, possessing pale or dark coats and coldly gleaming eyes. Diabolical moon, diabolical moon. We're not playing cricket. Alright. The magic of shadow and light. Apart from leaving its mark on the magic brought into the domain, the Shadow Realm also spawns new and enigmatic magic. Spellcasters seeking paths to power and Shadow Fae living in the depths of shadow have developed 2 unique disciplines of magic, the studies of illumination and shadow magic. In addition, the Dracul of the Shadow Realm have a number of necromantic spells unique to the realm, and Bearfolk and Shadow Goblins command several lunar spells, involving the arcane use of moonlight and the manipulation of wind, rain, and fog. A shining star for you to see, but your life can truly be. The Shadow Domain is also unique to the plane. See Chapter 3 for details. Umbral Magic, Empowered Illusions. The raw matter of shadow has always been a source of arcane power for schools of illusion and shadow magic. This shadow stuff's role in illusion and phantasm is much greater in the Shadow Realm, where a caster can draw on the material all around them to make their spells stronger, longer lasting, harder to see through, or simply useful in new and unexpected ways. Here are some optional effects for casting spells: empowering illusions and shadow magic, but only when such spells are cast in the Shadow Realm. Many spells with shadow or illumination keywords in their description are empowered when cast in the Shadow Realm. This includes such spells from this volume, as well as those of shadow and illumination magic found in Deep Magic, marked below with an asterisk. Black Ribbons, the spell affects a 30-foot cube instead of a 20-foot cube. Black Tentacles, this spell affects a 30-foot cube instead of a 20-foot cube. Blur, this spell is effective against opponents with True Sight. Color Spray, at higher levels you can add 2d12 rather than 2d10 to its damage. Creation, you can create up to a 10-foot cube of new material. The material you create lasts longer, as shown here. Vegetable matter, 1 week. Stone or crystal, 1 day. Precious metals, 4 hours. Gems, 1 hour. Adamantine or mithril, 2 minutes. Dancing light, in the Shadow Realm you can create up to 6 lights and combine them into 2 glowing humanoids. Further, a caster of 5th level or higher can split them into 2 groups. Dark Path, the spell creates a path or a bridge of 100 feet rather than 50 feet. Douse, the spell can affect a campfire in addition to a lantern or torch. Hallucinatory Terrain, the spell can be used to generate terrain that will hold for longer than usual in the Shadow Realm, 3 days rather than 24 hours. In addition, one build structure in the area or effect can be hidden by fog or shadows by the use of the spell. Legion, your shadowy soldiers fill 2 10-foot cubes rather than 1. Minor Illusion, this effect can last up to 2 minutes rather than 1. In addition, objects created create a simple sound, such as creaking, chirping, or moaning, but not language. Mirage Arcane, the spell generates terrain that holds for longer than usual in the Shadow Realm. Any piece of the illusory terrain that is removed from the spell's area remains solid, made real by the power of shadow. Phantasmal Killer, the spell does 4d12 rather than 4d10. In addition, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 5th level or higher, the damage increases by 1d12, for each spell slot above 4th. Phantom Steed, the creature uses the statistics for a warhorse, except it has a speed of 120 feet and can travel 12 miles an hour or 15 miles at a fast pace. Programmed Illusion, the spell can be used to create an illusory program of up to 10 minutes rather than 5, and speaking creatures within the program appear to listen when addressed. Seeming, the spell changes creature's appearance for up to 1 day rather than 8 hours. Shadow Gateway, casting this in the Shadow Realm opens a portal to the mortal world rather than a portal to the Shadow Realm. Shadow Step, you can move up to 120 feet for Shadow Step, and the spell does not require concentration. Shield of Starlight, the spell grants protection from both radiant and necrotic damage. Silent Image, this spell does not require concentration when cast in the Shadow Realm. Simulacrum has 3/4 the creature's hit point maximum and is formed with clothes and one simple tool. Sunburst creates a radiant well in the square where it is centered. This lasts for 1d6 days, and may become permanent if further measures are taken to strengthen it. True Seeing. This spell requires concentration in order to maintain to the Shadow Realm. An optional rule, Radiance Dispelling Shadow. As an optional rule to reduce the power of shadow mages in the Shadow Realm, you might decide that a daylight spell can act as a dispel magic against all spells with the shadow keyword in its area of effect. Producing light this way is certainly considered hostile among shadow goblins and shadow fae, but they use this trick amongst themselves as well. Okay, GM note, manipulating shadow landscapes. Spellcasters in the realm often describe their magic in terms of gathering shadow or radiant energy, and of pulling arcane power from the land or from the skies. In particular, much of shadow magic involves gathering the flow of shadow matter into a caster's hand, pulling it into a vessel, and then bending or shaping that matter to suit one's purpose. You should feel free to describe villain, monster, and NPC magic in similar terms. Additionally, the landscape itself sometimes holds the power of raw shadow, a thrumming sense of potential, of deception, or wild transformation. Spellcasters from other lands that magic can be smelled or almost touched in the Shadow Realm, especially illusion, illumination, and necromantic magics. And in truth, spellcasters using detect magic can also see raw pools of shadow, often in dark water or shadow mire, along luminous paths or spread across a marsh like a web. Witchlights and will-o-wisps seem drawn to these forms of raw shadow power. More subtle power can be seen around Shadow Road's foundation stones and similar binding places, including hallucinatory terrain, mirage arcane, and the like. When such a subtle shadow is given form, it tends to hold that form unless unbound and dissolved by radiant spells or by detect magic. Spells list. Spells created here by the Shadow Fae, Bearfolk, Dracul, Shadow Goblins, and others within the Shadow Realm. Check with your DM before selecting these spells. Okay, so I'm sure, this is just the spell quick list, whereas each one of these are going to be the spell descriptions. Okay. The spells presented alone. The spells presented below are relatively common in the Shadow Realm, and rather less frequently found in the Blight Lands. The spells of the schools of Illumination and Shadow, see Deep Magic, are also widely known in the realm. Spells included in those traditions are marked here with either the Illumination or Shadow keywords. 2 new schools of magic are introduced as well: Fey Magic and Weather Magic. There are, as the name suggests, spells that originated with Fey spellcasters and Weather mages. They are marked here with the Fey or Weather keywords. Bitter Wind, 3rd level evocation, Weather, casting time 1 action, range self 120-foot line, duration concentration for up to 1 minute. Freezing Wind, forming a line of 120 feet and long feet wide, blast from you in a direction you choose for the spell's duration. Each creature that starts its turn in line must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed 30 feet away from you in a direction following the line. Creatures that fail the saving throw also take 1d12 cold damage and are knocked prone. If cast during cold weather or in dark or shadowy conditions, the saving throw is made with disadvantage. Any creature on the line must spend 2 feet of movement for every 1 foot it moves when moving closer to you. As a bonus action, each of your turns before the spell ends, you can change the direction in which the line blasts from you. The Bitter Wind disperses gas or vapor, and it extinguishes candles, torches, lanterns, and similar flames in the area. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell of 4th level or higher, the saving throw is made with disadvantage, and the damage increases by 1d12 for each slot level above 3rd. Blade of Blood and Bone. 1 action with self, duration for 24 hours. When you cast a spell, you cut your body with a material component. Your hit point maximum decreases by 3, and your material component disappears. For the duration, you can use a bonus action to draw a blade made of your own bone, blood, and sinew from your body. The blade is a magical weapon, uses your spell attack bonus when you attack with it, and deals 1d6 slashing damage on a hit. If you are considered proficient with the blade, as a bonus action, you can slide the blade back into your body to conceal it. When the duration ends, the incision in your body disappears, your hit point maximum is restored, and the material opponent will reappear. Jeez, well, I mean, it's just about as gory as, what is that one anime everybody likes? Kill la Kill? It's just as gory as that. Bright Sparks, Evocation Cantrip, Illumination. Casting time 1 action, range by self, and duration for 1 round. Sparks fly from your fingers for a moment, generating bright blue light. This illuminates the region around you to a distance of 60 feet until the start of your next turn. Wisdom perception checks have advantage to spot creatures hidden in shadows. Charnel Banquet, 7th level Necromancy, Ritual. Casting time 1 minute, range self 30-foot radius. Components a silk handkerchief, duration for 10 minutes. You transform a field of carrion into an empowering feast for the duration. All creatures of your choice can consume the decaying flesh of any creature. If a creature has eaten the carrion for the duration, it recovers 10d6 hit points, half of its expended hit dice, removes half its levels for exhaustion, and gains all of the benefits of finishing a short rest. Creatures affected by the spell must succeed on the Constitution saving throw at the end of the duration or be poisoned for 1 hour. At higher levels, the spell is cast using a light 9th level spell slot. The affected creatures remove all levels of exhaustion gained and recover all expanded hit dice in addition to the effects noted above. Child of Light and Darkness. 1 action, self, duration for 1 minute, Roll a d20 at the end of each of your turns for duration of the spell. On a roll of 1 for 10, you take the form of a humanoid made of pure searing light. On a roll of 11 through 20, you take the form of a humanoid made of bone-chilling darkness. In both forms, you have the immunity to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical attacks. And the creature that attacks you has disadvantage on the attack roll. You gain additional benefits while in either form. In light form, you shed bright light in a 60-foot radius and dim light for an additional 60 feet. You're immune to fire damage and you have resistance to radiant damage. Once per turn as a bonus action, you can teleport to a space you can see within the light you shed. In darkness form, you are immune to cold damage and have resistance to necrotic damage. Once per turn as a bonus action, you can target up to 3 large or smaller creatures within 30 feet. Each target must succeed on a strength saving throw or be pulled or pushed, your choice, up to 20 feet, straight forward or away from you. Conjure a Ferryman. 1 action, 90 feet, concentration up to 1 hour. When standing on a riverbank or on the shore of some other body of water, you summon a fairy spirit and its boat, which appears in an unoccupied space and you can see within range. The spirit disappears when it drops to 0 hit points, or when the spell ends. The spirit is friendly to you and your companions for the duration. Roll initiative, which has its own turns. You can take up to you and up to 1 companion per level across a river or body of water, or 2 other locations along the same water. If you don't issue any such commands, it defends itself from hostile creatures but otherwise takes no actions. If your concentration is broken, the fairy and its guide do not disappear. Instead, you lose control of the conjured spirit. It becomes hostile towards you and your companions, and it might attack. An uncontrolled ferryman can't be dismissed by you, and it disappears 1 hour after you summon it. The GM has the fairy spirit statistics using those for Lesser Lunar Devil, see Chapter 9, or Bearded Devil. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 3rd level or higher, the boat can take you and your companions across a planar boundary into the ethereal plane and then exit on another body of water, and using a barbed devil. When you cast a spell using the spell slot of 5th level or higher, it can traverse the river Styx between planes, taking you and your companions to distant parts of the universe, and using a lunar devil, or bone devil. Conjure a Giant, level 6, 90 feet, concentration up to 1 hour. You summon a giant of challenge rating 7 or lower, which appears in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. The giant disappears when they are dropped to 0 hit points or when the spell ends. A giant is friendly to you and your companions for duration. Roll initiative, which has their own turns. They obey any verbal commands that you issue to them as long as the commands don't violate their alignment. If you don't issue any commands to the giant, they defend themselves but otherwise take no actions. If your concentration is broken, the giant doesn't disappear. Instead, you lose control of them, it becomes hostile towards you and your companions and might attack. An uncontrolled giant can't be dismissed and they disappear 1 hour after summoned. The GM holds the giant statistics. Big commanding giants. While most spellcasters prefer to conjure giants and control them using traditional formulations, they are able to conjure giants of 1 CR higher than the spell would normally allow, although this requires payment, discussion, or palaver beyond the norm for the spell in order to bring the giant into the phase service. This discussion requires a full round at which the giant makes a wisdom saving throw. If the giant succeeds, the caster has lost control of the giant as if their concentration was broken. If the giant falls, they serve the caster for the duration and must be given some token of appreciation. At higher levels, if you cast it using 7th level or higher, the challenge rating increases by 1 slot for each level above 6. Deep Roots of the Moon, 3rd level, 1 action, 10 miles per caster. Duration is permanent. You bind shadow material into an enchanted fey road, fixing its path between 2 points so as to hold against ordinary weather and mundane alteration and to stretch and bend in shadow times. This is called a shadow road and is subject to normal wear, to destruction by those with tools to break it, and to magical destruction by hostile forces such as by dispel magic. If you wish, the spell may include a prayer or offering that serves as a keyword. The secret of the road allows anyone who knows and uses it to add 1 or 2 effects to the road, such as faster travel, or locking and unlocking the road's portals outside of the Shadow Realm. Those who do not know the prayer, ritual, or offering cannot enter the road from outside of the Shadow Realm. Conjure a furry man. I mean, what do you think we're doing? I think we do that every week on this channel. Doom of False Friends, 8th level enchantment, 1 action, 60 feet, concentration up to 1 minute. You sever the bonds of friendship and affection between your targets. Target 2 creatures of your choice between range that can hear and see you. Each target must make a charisma saving throw. On a failed save, the target must use its movement and action to move forward and attack the other target. If the unaffected target of the spell moves out of range, the other target must make every effort to find and attack it. At the end of each turn that one of the targets can't see the other target, it can make a new saving throw, overcoming the compulsion on a successful save. Once all the spell's targets make successful saving throws, you will become stunned until the end of your next turn. At higher levels, if you cast a spell using a 9th level slot, you can target 2 additional creatures. Each of the targets can decide on its turn which of the other targets it attacks, or otherwise works against for the moment. The Doom of Poor Fortune, 1st level necromancy. You turn luck against a creature of your choice within range. When the target makes an ability check, they must first make a charisma saving throw or the check fails. If this spell persists once cast, even when the target moves out of range. If cast with a higher spell slot, each subsequent effect is added to the effect noted above. If the target ultimately succeeds on the check or saving throws, then you take 1 psychic damage. If you ever lose concentration on the spell, you take 1d4 psychic damage. At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 2nd level or higher, then the target is required to make a saving throw. Must make a charisma saving throw in place of the required one. Unless the required one is more difficult to make, when you cast a spell with a 4th level slot, when the target makes an attack roll, it must make a charisma saving throw prior to making the attack. On a failed save, the attack fails. If you cast a spell with an 8th level slot, this spell persists for the duration without requiring concentration. Alright. Doom of Stacked Stone, 6th level transmutation, 1 action, 30 feet, concentration up to 1 minute. You and 3 of your creatures must succeed on a Constitution saving throw when the spell is cast, and at the start of each of your turns while the spell is in effect. A creature whose saving throw fails is restrained. If one of those 3 targeted creatures fails the saving throw, as many as 2 other creatures per initial target, each within 30 feet of the initial target, must make the same save. A restrained creature must continue to make saving throws each turn, and their condition worsens on a failure as follows. 1. Restrained, 2. Incapacitated, 3. Stunned, 4. Paralyzed, and 5. Petrified and turned to stone. Each condition afflicted adds to its previous conditions. New saving throws reduce the severity of the condition affecting a target by 1 step on its success. If a target other than you succeeds on the saving throw while restrained, the spell ends for it. As with all concentration spell, you can end the spell at any time. If you are turned to stone, the spell ends after all affected creatures make their saving throws. Creatures recover immediately when the spell ends, except for creatures turned to stone, which remain that way until the effect is removed. Creatures turned to stone can see, hear, and smell normally, but they don't need to eat or breathe. If Shatter is cast on a stone creature, it must succeed on a Constitution saving throw or be killed. Creatures transformed into stone can be restored with Dispel Magic, Greater Restoration, or comparable magic. And I think that's what we're going to end on. We're going to start next week by describing the spell of Doom of Summer Years and the rest of the spells in the spell book. So yeah, just about that. That's the end of the stream. So thank you everybody once again for tuning in to Brainy the RPG Cat. So this one was a little bit more of a caretaker than, probably some of our other episodes, but, I had 2 or 3 things I needed to finish for April's fundraiser the last time I did one of these. So it's actually good to make some progress in the book. So yeah, it happens. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm going to be back on Friday, and I'm going to be playing part 2 of our playthrough of Mega Man Battle Network. And so slightly before I get onto that, I'm going to look up a walkthrough to make sure that I know precisely where to go in the school this time, so that I do not have to further slow down the roll of the actual game. Devin is asking, I hope you were able to get that classic plugin working. Yes, I did. And so I'm still going to take a little bit of time in order to figure that out. And in addition to that, I'm going to try to level myself up to level 20 by Monday. So we don't have to deal with, the enigmatic buyer's remorse that comes from not starting this playthrough on the free trial. If you have multiple editions of WoW installed, CurseForge will add a drop-down menu in order to switch between them. Well, I don't believe that I do, but that's really an interesting feature. Questy is about the only add-on I will say is required for most people. Yeah, I do believe that I looked for that, and I do believe I added that one on as well, but I'll double check. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm going to take a moment and I am going to do a raid. Alright. Oh, one more thing is that on Sunday, I am going to I'm going to shoot you a DM for something related. Oh yeah, yes, please do that. So on Sunday, we're going to be doing Card Cat or Brainy. I'm going to be reviewing Battle Spirits. Yeah, a brand new TCG game from Namco Bandai Games. I think that has gone on for maybe about several editions in Japan, but this is the first time it's come to the US. And we have 2 starter kits and a booster pack to review from that. And also we're going to open up 8 packs of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're also going to take some time in order to review all 25 of the cards that are going to be coming with the streamloots reward. So, if you want to get the drop on and the inside line on any of the streamloots cards that you might be interested in, by all means, go to ! Streamloots, download some of the card packs, use them on the stream, do awesome things with them. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in. Let's see, who are we going to raid right now? I think, let's see, Narentia Hearn, Calcoded Proctor, Kabukushi, Jellyda. Well, actually, let's go over to Power Nelson. I think right now they're in the middle of playing Paper Mario. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. I will see you guys on Friday. Have a good night, everybody. Remember, BRAINY spells smart. Nothing is too hard if you use your head. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Have a good night, everybody. And thank you very much for watching.